What's good, y'all? It's your boy HB, final round. Let's talk about Tommy Fury, man. We'll make this quick. There's this it's kind of quick points to make with this. There's not a lot to talk about. Look, man, I thought Tommy Fury, he's obviously starting off. I think he's a better boxer than Jake Paul at this point in time, but I think it'd be fairly if Jake can get into phenomenal conditioning, I think it can be competitive. But the issue with Tommy Fury is he tends to smother the shit out of himself, man. He smothers his punches. He's a long rangey dude. You know, man, you can't be you got to kind of take the Klitschko approach, right? Keep your opponent at the end of your punches, or like a Lennox Lewis approach, right? Paw your jab out there, that's how you find your distance. You don't need to keep coming in as you're throwing combinations, dude. You're too long and rangy for that. That's not your game, okay? If you're built like him, you know, you want to paw out with that jab. That's how you find your range. You know, shoot that jab, keep your distance. You know, keep your stance, keep your balance, your center of gravity. Let your opponent come to you. You know, you can inch towards him, half step your way towards him, but you don't necessarily need to go and close the distance all the time, especially against the guy that was significantly smaller than him. You know, let him come to you. You don't need to, you know, now, to be fair, he only had 4 rounds to get it done. So I'll give him that. That we got to keep that in the context, you know. When you only have 4 rounds to get shit done, you don't get much of an opportunity to kind of sit back and be patient. But that still doesn't change the fact that he could have applied pressure, but he could have done it a lot more effectively than just smothering himself as he's going in with combinations. You know, if I'm him, I'm closing the distance, right? I'm cutting off the ring. I'm pawing my jab out there, trying to find where he's at. I'm shooting it. And I'm just sticking that jab in his face constantly. Pawing, jab. You know, maybe I bend down a little bit to the body, you know, catch him there, mix it up. And then when you're just trying to draw him out of his shell, okay? You apply the pressure. You can cut off the ring or not, or you can just, you know, kind of stalk him in circles. But obviously, 4-round fight, you want to put as much pressure as possible. Just cut off the fucking ring, okay? Paw out that jab, keep it sticking in his face, frustrate him, and then he's going to get desperate. And when he comes to you, that's when you start throwing that right hand and timing him as he comes in. So boom, 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 boom. Okay, he's coming in, follow up with a hook. Or maybe, you know, if he wants to close that distance and get close to you, that's when you throw that uppercut, you know, in those tight quarters. But he needed to learn he needs to learn how not to smother himself. He needs to learn how to, that's my baby right here, how to maximize his range, you know. And I saw him use a right hook against in another fight against another opponent, a right hook to the body, which is beautiful. He didn't go down to the body enough. Once again, I understand he was kind of put in a shitty position. They changed it from 6 rounds to 4 rounds. I believe if it was 6 rounds, he could have got him out of there. If it was 8 rounds, he definitely would have fucked him up. But once again, let's be fair. He kind of had, and that might have been done on purpose. You know, he had the rug pulled out from under his feet. They changed it to 4 rounds. He probably got very eager, and he's like, damn, my American debut. I'm trying to make a name for myself. I got to get this guy out of here. And he was a little bit sloppy in his approach. But he was even doing that in some of his other fights. He would smother himself. He would throw his combinations, and then he would smother himself with his punch, not allowing him to throw punches in tight quarters, because he does have a good right uppercut, and he can use that on the inside. But you know, you can't smother yourself, and if you do, you know, you at the very least have to shrug your opponent off, create some distance, and then throw the uppercut. So that's my thing with Tommy Fury at this point. I do think he can beat Jake Paul. I think he is the better fighter. I think just based off of the performance from Jake Paul not having the cardio, Tommy Fury would win just off of that. But you know, if his dad can get him to fix some of these range issues and teach him how to stay behind his range and his jab and his cross, I think Tommy can be a very good cruiserweight. I think he can be effective, but if he doesn't start addressing those issues, unfortunately, he's not going to be able to take advantage of some of his natural abilities. You know, he has a beautiful right hook to the body. I've seen him utilize it in some fights. He should have been using that last night. He made a guy crumble with those right hooks to the body. That's a big weapon for him. So I'll give him this, man. Like, they pulled the rug from under him. They might have done that on purpose to kind of sabotage Tommy, you know, Jake's team, and you know, whoever's, you know, was dictating the card. Or maybe, you know, maybe I'm wrong about that, but you know, he only had 4 rounds to work. It's hard to get, even if your opponent sucks, it's hard to get a guy out in 3 to 4 rounds. You know, it's not much time to work. You got to understand, you're trying to get their timing and rhythm down, and especially if they're not taking chances, they're not jumping in on you like, say, Nate Robinson against Jake Paul. They're not giving you that opportunity to kind of counter. It's hard to get a guy out that quick. And on top of that, he's a little bit awkward, so it's hard to get a gauge on his timing. So, look, man, Tommy Fury, he'll be all right. You know, he just needs to do a lot more work. He needs to sharpen his craft, or the tools he has in his shed. You know, maintain proper distance, not smother himself, keep his opponents at the end of his punches, and he'll be all right. He'll be all right, man. And, you know, if Jake Paul can improve his cardio and conditioning, that would be a little bit more intriguing of a fight for me. I think Jake Paul could do some stuff, but he was so sloppy last night. Jake Paul was so sloppy in his technique because his cardio wasn't there. He has a lot of work to do before he takes on a guy like Tommy Fury. And Tommy Fury's not even like a top cruiserweight contender as of now, at least in my opinion. Tommy's going to be bigger. He's going to be probably rangier. And Tommy's got fairly decent power. So Jake Paul's got some work to do. There's a reason why he's not really necessarily looking for that fight. But if I'm Tommy, I let that go and I just start building. And if that fight comes, it comes. Keep on throwing some fucking shade out on Jake Paul's way to, you know, maybe build it up if he ever wants to entertain that fight. But yeah, man, in terms of that fight, Tommy did what he could do. He did what he can do. So I don't blame him for that. But he needs to fix some things in his game. Hopefully his dad and his brother help him, you know, kind of pick up on that shit. But this is your boy HB, final round. Get at me, subscribe to the fucking channel. Tell me what you think. Tell me how you felt Tommy did considering the circumstances. Do you think he's going to get the fight with Jake Paul or not? Stay safe, y'all. Have a good week.